diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.
Hello again, and welcome to Patriots Across the Pond, the correct episode, Bruce. This is episode 17 for you today, with myself and Elisa. Today's guest is Bruce Poppy. Not only is Bruce an amazing podcaster in this awakening movement, he is also a mindset mentor, and we're going to call today's episode Unleashing Excellence, Living Your Best Life Now. And Bruce's website is brucepoppy.com. Unleashing Excellence is a simple system to live as the real you. Train your mind to back you up and build habits that deliver results. No fluff, just truth, tools, and momentum that you can feel. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey.
Doing really well. Thanks for having me on here today.
So glad to have you, Bruce.
It's great to meet you, because the last time we met, we only had 10 minutes on Lewis's Podcasters Marathon, and it was the quickest 10 minutes of my life. I tried to get as much out as I could about my life as possible, and we didn't really have much time at the end. So looking forward to this today.
Yeah, those marathon things, they're always fun to do. But yeah, you never have enough time. There's always way too much information. So yes, I completely understand. You're not the only one who's felt that way.
Yeah. Well, it gives you an opportunity then to, reconnect, right? Like today, you get a chance to really, talk about stuff. So I'm going to just make one quick announcement before we get into everything. Guys, we are officially set up on all our new platforms, all our channels, Patriots Across the Pond. And starting Friday, we're going to launch our streaming on Patriots Across the Pond on Rumble. So I just want to ask everyone to go over there, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll look forward to the launch on Friday.
Very good.
Yes, we will. I was just looking for that link, actually. That's the Rumble channel, yeah? That's that one there.
Yep.
Yeah, we've rebranded. All our stuff was a bit busy, but it looks a lot nicer now. So, yeah, Bruce, today is all about you, really. Whatever you want to discuss, we can go into the awakening queue, all sorts of things, but especially your website and what you do for a living. And
well, everything really is connected. And you'd mentioned rebranding. That's kind of how I started in this whole thing. Was I'm not different than most any other people. After the 2020 situation, waking up the next day and wondering what the heck just happened, I started digging, right? Started looking for reasons, why did this happen? What was happening? This kind of a freaking out moment. Started doing some research myself and came across the first four people that I came across are kind of like if you were a Mount Rushmore of podcasters. These are the people. So the first person I came across was David Nino Rodriguez. Also Scott McKay, the Patriot Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Michael Jaco. And then the fourth one that she's been taken out one way or some is Kirsten W.
Yeah.
Kirsten W. The crazy rich Asian lady.
Yeah.
Her and I became really good friends. Yeah. She lived not far from me here in Florida. And there was many times that she was doing her show. I was sitting across the table from her, and she's the one who introduced me to Scott. And Scott told me, he says, "Hey, Bruce, you need to get your voice out there and, start your own channel," is what he's talking about. Get your voice out there because there's people that you can reach that I can't reach. And we're like, yeah, who can't resonate and reach by the Patriot Street Fighter, right? Every time I hear that the song "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC, I'm looking around, expecting Scott to burst through the wall like the old Kool-Aid guy, So he's the one who encouraged me. So I started a YouTube channel way back then when you could have one and not get kicked off every 2 minutes. But yeah, that's how the whole thing started. And we were, basically started the thing on Rumble, which I called Unpopular Viewpoint, because my viewpoints are unpopular because they go against the mainstream narrative that they're trying to shove down our throats. And I was emphasizing the pop in unpopular because my kids call me Pop, my grandkids call me Poppy, and it's just a nickname that stuck. So started, decoding the news and, breaking down like narrating the apocalypse. So we're doing all this stuff, trying to do as best we can. I'm just an average guy. I don't have any, special skills or connections or anything like that. I was just fed up and, pissed off that they were stealing our country, our rights, right from underneath our noses, right in front of our faces. And so I had to do something about it. A lot of times when I first started doing the YouTube channel, live streaming was more of a therapy for me than it was, bringing any great revelations or stuff like that. So as time went on, things started to change for me. I got more, the awakening was more and more real for me and more in a spiritual sense. A lot of people, when they first come to the awakening or they hear the thinking it's about election fraud or about the shots or about child trafficking, but it goes way deeper than that. And everybody's at a different, position or rung of the ladder, if you will, in their awakening. So I was shifting, I was changing, evolving, almost daily in my entire life. I had been, I haven't had a job since 2004. So I'd always owned my own businesses and always in that glass half full, type of mentality. Hey, if it's broke, there's a fix it. And I was always a solution oriented. Hey, let's get her done. Right. Just typical male stuff. Throw out the instructions. Just, forge ahead forward. We'll clean up the mess later. But all these different things, wanting to be more, do more, have more, the success type principles, I was, getting bits and pieces. And it wasn't until many, many years later, shortly after the 2020 thing, that all these pieces started to come together. And I was, that's a light bulb will go up. That's why I did that when I was in 2000, whatever. That's why I was doing that. I understand these things now. And everything seemed to slow down, and they talk about the transition, if anybody's into sports, the transition from, the college game to the professional game. It's just much faster. And when you get the feel and the flow of it, things slow down. That's what was happening for me. And I'm sure, like yourselves, I'm not the only one again on this idea or mindset. Was anybody here feel frustrated? A little bit upset that maybe things aren't going as quickly as we would like, or as quickly as we were led to believe that they were going to be happening. And so, here we are, had to live through the 4 years of Joey bribes, as my good friend Jack Lander, coined that name. He said, "Yeah, Joey bribes." We had to live through that situation, just like Stu had said earlier before we were live. You can't tell people the truth; you got to show them. And so, in my frustration, I'm also a very emotional, passionate, type of person. And so I was at my wit's end, crying out, for God, creator, source, universe, whatever name you want to put it. Hey, how are we going to get through this thing? How can we continue going where it's seeming like nothing is ever happening? And so I was, crying out, and then the one word came to me was connections. And I was like, well, that's kind of, connections. That's a little bit weird. And so as time went on and I was chewing on that word for a little bit, it started to flesh out. It started to, fill in the blanks of what connections are. And it basically worked it out into three different connections. Number one, the most important connection that any of us can ever have is connection to God, source, creator, universe. I like to use creator, creator or universe. I like to use, the creator, that connection is the most important thing above anything else, because that is the ultimate source of truth. That is where you're going to learn to develop the gifts that we already have inside of us, gifts of intuition, discernment. You can even get into, some of the more woo-woo type stuff that people, aren't really buying into a lot yet, but they're real as the day is long. And I know it like I know my own name, that these, telekinesis and, mind, all these different things. So, but that intuition, that was key for me. And as I mentioned, things started to make sense. I always had a really good read on people, is the best way to describe it. Be able to tell if somebody, on that same frequency, whether they're good or bad, it's kind of had this gut feeling. But that first connection, developing that was super crucial. The second connection that's where I think a lot of us are right now, is myself included, is the getting connected with ourselves, right? Who are we really at our core? Who is Bruce Poppy? Who is Stu? Who is Elisa, right? At our core, not who, our Patriot community, not who our partner, husband, wife, whatever, not who our children, not who our job, because we all have these masks that we wear. And we can, talk about those later. That's part of my Unleashing Excellence pathway. But getting connected to ourselves and finding out who we really are and what's really important to us, what our real values are, not a societal thing, not, I'm not looking to be in some group think, right? That's one of the curses and blessings at the same time of being in and I hate the labels, the conservative movement, on the right, we're taught to be free thinkers and, independent, sovereign. But we can all fall into this group think on our side as well. Right? We need to be able to see through some of the BS and some of the other things going on. So that's the second connection. And the third connection is what we're doing right now with these podcasts and live events and things like that, getting connected to other people, right? We need to build our tribe. We need to start, spreading the word about what's going on and how we can get through this thing together. Because music for myself is huge. I don't know if you guys, love music. But music, the universe speaks to me in music through all the time. And one of my favorite beginnings of the song, it's by Frens, Let's Go Crazy, Dearly Beloved. We're gathered here together today to get through this thing called life. And that's what we need to do. We need to lean on each other. Iron sharpens iron. There's stuff that Stu knows that I don't know. And I know stuff that Lisa doesn't know. And we all can work together and put some of our differences aside. That's one of the bad things, if you will, that's gone on in our society. Now you can't, unless you're part of the group think, you're an outsider, outcast, you get canceled, you can't be a part of this club. And so, that's kind of how this whole thing started for me. So now I've transitioned now and fully putting most of my energy into developing myself and then sharing my journey. What has worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, the problems that I'm having. I mean, in this rebrand that I'm doing from Unpopular Viewpoint to Bruce Poppy Shows / Unleashing Excellence, the very moment I decided that I was going to do something different, that I thought was my mission in life in this particular juncture of where we're at in this operation, as soon as that happened, the hounds of hell were unleashed upon me, and all kinds of I'm supposed to be the mindset guy. Well, there's been a lot of times over the past 6, 8, almost a year that my mindset has been in the crapper. I'm working through this stuff every single day, and I've learned to try to develop and implement tools and systems that can help me break through some of that stuff so I can continue to evolve into the best version of myself, a higher self, get connected, move from that 3D to 5D. And it's not, people think that when we talk about different things or personal development, and some of the bigger names that come to mind, Tony Robbins and people like that, they get for some reason or another some type of bad rep. It's not that their information is bad. The problem 9 times out of 10 is when we hear the information, we don't implement it properly. And that people wanted, that we're in this microwave, now we're into the Ozempic society. People want to get the results of something super quick. They just want some super pill that they can take and fix all their problems without them having to do any of the work. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but that's not how it works, folks.
Oh, how you speak. It's funny. I was having a conversation yesterday with someone, and we were talking about difficult people or people that will blame, not take responsibility, all these kinds of things. And I said, it kind of comes down to one thing. If you really think about it, you got to feel pain and go through your own journey, your own dark night of the soul to come through to be that better person. And many people don't want to do the work. It's not fun. It's not easy. It's upsetting. It rocks your world. But it's like what you said, if you're going to change your mindset and what you talk about. And by the way, I love your book. I read it. You have to, you're not going to build muscles, right? Like Stu goes to the gym every day. I'm sure there are days he doesn't.
I still haven't built any yet.
But do you want to get up every morning really early or get there late at night after you've done it's the same thing. It's you're building a muscle. You're building that muscle of resilience and personal development and all those high vibrational things that go with it.
Right. Yeah. And to get there, you have to go through, you have to deal with some of the garbage, the trash. I mean, we want to say we're awakened, but yet we're still trying to do things with the same mindset, manner, and systems that we have done that got us into this mess in the first place. If you're going to change something, you're going to go a different direction. You can't use the same roadmap that got you there in the first place. You got to do something different. We've heard it, a million times, the definition of insanity, right? Is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We're in this position. We have some culpability here, right? There's some we're going to take real ownership of the situation that we're in because of the way the system is set up. We've been led to believe, we're voting these people in. They got our best interests at heart, right? The whole true identity of America situation, and that's just not the case. If something is to be, it's going to have to be up to me. I can't rely upon everybody else, and that's a huge, massive problem that we have. Is the fact that there's still, even after everything we've been through since 2016 or 15, coming down the golden escalator, until now, there's still far too many people sitting around waiting for Trump, the white hats, the military, whatever name you want on the good guys, waiting for them to ride in on a white horse and save the day. And that's it's not going to happen. They're going to do what they can do lawfully and legally. And, but they're not going to change my own personal situation.
Yeah, I don't think the military are going to potentially step in until the people have risen up and it's getting a bit leery and they're sort of demanding it. That military-civilian alliance, I say it all the time in the Q drops, we've got to come up to meet them down. When Trump says we are giving power back to you, the people, they've got to be strong enough and mindful enough to keep hold of it. And I just want to say something. I used to love Kirsten W. Every time she laughed out loud, I used to laugh with her. She was amazing, and God bless her soul. But what you were saying there about creator is the main thing. And I always say that as well. It is your creator, source, God, whatever it is to you, you've got to have that connection. And I think a lot of people lose that connection and lose their faith when they sort of black pill. Oh, it's all gone wrong and stuff. They don't, you know, I say I'm comfy AF because that's the way I felt. And over these years, it's no one more than the truthers, really, that have had to hone our discernment, learn new things, especially since COVID came in, about our health and not going to the doctors and what we eat and distilling our water and everything we put into our body, you know, and all of these sorts of things. So we have certainly, as a collective, had to have each other's backs, if you know what I mean. But was your actual awakening moment in 2020, the election, COVID?
It was the bigger part. I mean, I've always been a anti-establishment, you know, type of guy, you know, more of a self-reliant, you know, type person. You know, I bought into the 9/11 thing, but it was a couple years after that things just weren't adding up. They were wanting us to believe that 2 and 2 equal 5, and I just something's fishy in Denmark here. Same thing with the whole Iraq thing, and I have some personal information. My son, who was in the Air Force at the time, remember when they captured Saddam? They found him in the spider hole. He was hiding in that hole. Yeah, that was all fabricated and bullshit. My son was stationed in Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany at the time, and he said that was a complete production. They didn't find him in a hole like that. That was all completely fabricated. So that, you know, kind of made me, if they're willing to do that, what else are they not telling us and being completely honest about? So little pieces and pieces, but it
hang on,
lost me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're back.
All right, good. It was for myself. You mentioned health. That was a huge portion for me. In 2018, I had it was the worst year of my life. I had 7 surgeries in 6 months. Nearly died a couple of different times. All from routine, type of things they were doing. And I was, like I said, I was never suicidal, but I was done. The health stuff had beat me into the ground. What was going on in society wasn't real pleasant at that time. All these different things were piling up, and I was like, I'm done. And finally, I something clicked. I says, I can't live like this. I refuse to live like this. And so I started doing more research then on the medical side and all the pills. I had some pretty significant cardiac history. And at that time, I was on 9 or 10 different cardiac meds.
Wow.
And all of them were making me feel like crap. All of them, I never had high blood pressure, but all of those different pills had a lowering effect on my blood pressure. And so I was living like 90/60, and it wouldn't take much for that stuff to crash out. And I'd be like 80, 70, 75 over like 40. So anytime I would move, I would feel like I was going to be passing out. And I was like, no, I can't live like this. This is not good. So I started looking at each pill. What are the side effects? What are the benefits? I did that cost benefit analysis that Benjamin Franklin famously, the pros and cons, drive line down the middle, good and bad, and then you write down on that's how you do your cost benefit analysis, see if it's worthwhile. So I started removing meds and started feeling a little better. And then it was this continued on for a few years, and then in 20 or 25, so 4 years, so 21, I started working with Scott on a project and got rid of all the toxins out of my house and started a pretty significant vitamin supplement. And that was the magic stuff that helped me getting the proper nutrition, getting rid of the toxins. Long story short, it's been now December, my wife's birthday, just a couple weeks ago or last week. It's been 2 years. I have not taken any of my cardiac meds. Me and the doctor, cardiologist, when I decide I want to go see him, still go round and round. He wants me to take the statin, antiplatelet stuff, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. So now that I'm off all of my meds, I feel better now than I have in almost my entire life. So, unless I was the one to step up and start doing the research and be my own best advocate for my health, if it was up to the doctors, I'd still be pounding pills all day long. But now that I feel better, I haven't had any real cardiac issues in the past couple of years, minor stuff that's gone on. But I believe and know that I know my own name, that at some point I'm going to be able to get rid of this pacemaker defibrillator that I have in me and be able to live my life without this machine inside me. So, we're moving there. It would be nice to be a lot quicker than what is happening.
Yeah.
Is that an issue you've had most of your life then? With your heart?
It's been the doctors say genetic. I'm not buying into that. I'm the one that's breaking the generational curse, so my kids and grandkids are not going to have to suffer through what I've had to suffer. Yeah. But yeah, my mom passed away super early, went to sleep, didn't wake up. Wow. They got the sudden death stuff on her side of the family, and then on my dad's side, they got plumbing issues, like blockages and things, multiple bypass surgeries. He survived all that, and then pneumonia ended up taking out my dad. But I had my first heart attack. I had 100% blockage of the LAD, left anterior descending artery. That's the one they call the Widowmaker. In July of 2004, so I was 36 years old.
Wow.
So I just going even back further. I married my high school sweetheart. I was 16 and she was 17 when we got married. So now we got 4 kids, 7 grandkids. We just celebrated August 41 years of being married, and we're living our best life right now.
That's a beautiful story.
That is beautiful. I wanted to there was a couple. I was making notes as you were talking, and I think we talked about the Creator and that connection with Creator. We talk about our bodies, and then we talk about the medical industry, and what it all comes down to is the same thread. To detach us from what is true and what the truth is. The truth is that if our bodies are left with nature and what God has provided for us here on this earth, they did it for thousands of years. Okay. They detach us from that knowing, from the shamanism of understanding all the natural stuff we can do to keep ourselves healthy. And then that detaches us from that intuitive sense that we have, right? And that is the connection with God or Creator. But all this stuff they're making us put into our bodies is then blocking any ability, our pineal gland and that ability to rely on ourselves, because we have these experts who are now telling us what to do. And I find it enraging and tragically sad that a doctor can look at someone like you who has gotten off all these medications, has done all these wonderful things to enhance his health and his life, and still can't see the forest for the trees that you need to go back on petroleum-based medication. It's such a brainwashing job that's done. And that's where the change, yes, you can have med beds and all these other things, but the mindset has to change into the self-belief that I've been telling my kids since they're younger. I have a 19 and a 21-year-old daughters. And I used to say, this was my expression. I was like, you're the commander in chief of your body. And if you tell your body you don't want to pain, and you tell your body you don't want to be suffering from something, it has to listen to you. But you have to believe that you're the one in charge. And people just don't believe that.
Yeah.
Nope. They have because the brainwashing is still super deep. I mean, I've seen so many people, talk to so many people as we did the truth tours and over 100 events around the country, and all the different all the people that I've met, and they say that they're awake, but yet they're still, every time they get a sniffle or something, they're running to the doctor and wanting to get pills. That goes right back to what I had said earlier. We cannot move forward and do something different with the same thinking that got us into this mess in the first place. And a lot of, truth be told, a lot of these doctors, it isn't completely their fault.
No.
They had, it's the system that they've been trained into I mean, when you can go, I don't know how many years you got to go to school for to be a doctor. It's a lot of years and a shit ton of money for them to be able to get their education. But in all those years and multiple, tens of, dozens of hours of all the training that they do, they're only all those years. They only spend a few hours learning about nutrition.
Yep.
And how big of an impact that makes on your thing. So they're, it's the system that we got to break out of, and we have to be the ones to take ownership of our own deal. That's the first, and that you mentioned the book, that's the first mindset shift, is you got to break out of that victimhood mentality and take ownership of everything, and that can go very, very deep, and some people, like, as an example, this one thing, if you were going to say you're going to work and somebody runs a red light and T-bones you and wrecks your car, is it your fault that person ran the red light and hit you? Technically, no, but there is some responsibility that you have for leaving when you did, taking that route that you chose to take. Who knows? There's a myriad of other reasons where you can take ownership. If I'd have done something a little differently, and that's not to say beat yourself up. That's just a little example that we can turn everything that happens in our life into some, big story and do, oh, woe is me, and this always happens, and it can happen. It happens all the time in our movement. We're in this victimhood mentality. If it wasn't for the deep state, or if it wasn't for XYZ, then I would be different. Well, why don't you fix it now? Right? People are waiting around. If Nasara Jasara happens, then I can do my humanitarian projects. Well, why can't you do your humanitarian projects now? Right? I'm waiting for a med bed. As soon as med bed hits, then I'll be able to get all the stuff that's wrong with me fixed, as they're sitting there pounding Big Macs and diet sodas and all that stuff. You gotta take ownership for your stuff now. If we want to be part of this golden age, or we want to maximize our return of investment into this golden age that we're moving into, then we got to, take some ownership. We got to make some actions. We got to take some steps to be able to put us in the best position. Right.
Yeah. I'm sure that if med beds do come out and stuff like that, there will still be people with the mindset that can go, I'm going in there, I'm going to get myself sorted, and I'm going to go straight back to what I was doing before, eating crap, not exercising, and all that, thinking they can go on a med bed once every 6 months.
Yeah. Or you're going to have exactly, or you're going to have the brainwashed people who are going to think, no, I'm still better off going down the allopathic way and listening to my doctor, because I don't think the med beds, if they come out, are going to be a panacea for everyone. I think that part of it is the mindset. People are going to think it's a crock, it doesn't work, they're not going to do it. But back to what you said about our community, which I do think the biggest issue in our community is people not supporting each other. Like, everybody has their own message in their own way. And you may not agree with what everybody says, but you know what? I have learned so much from almost every podcaster that's out there in this movement. And I don't agree with every single thing, or it doesn't resonate with me, but I take those nuggets. And one of the things that drives me the most crazy beyond that is everyone's obsession with the RV. It's like, you got to stop, you got to stop. It's going to happen when it happens. And in the meantime, this is the challenge, to figure out how to do what we need to do, help people, help ourselves. And when that happens, that's like the icing on the cake, if it happens, to help you do what you have to do. I mean, listen, can I set up a healing center right now the way I envision it? That's probably millions of dollars of investment. No. But can I start off small? Can we start off in a smaller way with what that intention is that we want to do? And it's like an all or nothing thing. And when I hear people carrying on about like, oh, when is it going to happen? It was supposed to happen 6 years ago. It was supposed to happen 12 years ago. We've been waiting 30 years. Like, okay.
And they're probably going to be waiting for another 30 years. I mean, who knows?
We don't know.
Right. And anybody who tells you that they know, they're freaking lying to you. They don't know. Nobody knows. There was one event that we were doing. It was the Truth Tour 2, and the grand finale was in Anaheim, California. And we had Wano Saban there. And so Saturday was the end of the event. Sunday we go have brunch. we're having this, you can call it debriefing or this meeting. Juan's, holding court like he does if you're, and so he's, telling all this stuff. And he even said himself, he said, the people who are pulling the levers of power don't know what's going to be happening. It's a moves and counter move situation. They can game plan things out, right? And have a contingency for different stuff. But until the other side makes some type of move, then we can, so the people that tell you, yeah, the RV is going to happen. Now I there's certain people, it even happened at Mel's event. That's where I met Elisa at Mel's Cape Canaveral event earlier this year. But there was a person there, and they was like, "Yep, the RV is going to be happening on this day." Before it was just before St. Patrick's Day. It's going to happen before St. Patrick's Day. He said it like it was yesterday's news.
Yeah.
How many people loaded their credit cards up because I thought Nisara was coming the next day, things like that.
And the thing that really, so this is where it leads back to what we're talking about awakening. You're still buying into narratives. And so it makes me question people who are of that ilk. How awakened are you? Like I get really surprised when people from our community buy into some of these like false flags. Like, give it a little time, give it some thought, look back, remember this is a military operation, remember what Q said. Like, give it time to process and to think about it. And they're hysterical and they're so quick to turn on Trump and like, what is he doing? And it makes me wonder, if we're all claiming to be awakened, then how are you buying into stuff so quickly?
That's it. You just nailed it on the head. And we are, in war. We all know about the 5th generation warfare. And I would highly recommend, if nobody has read it yet, get the book. It's called 5th Generation Warfare. With General Flynn wrote it, and then the guy that just passed away, his name escapes me. Yes, Boone Cutler. I got to meet him. Pretty cool dude. Just in passing, we were up in the Carolinas helping after Hurricane Helene. Myself, Lewis, and another team member up there, and we got to meet him. We took a helicopter tour ride around and saw all the devastation from Helene that was happening up in there. So these are the types of things and the people that you meet and you never even know. But that book, 5th Generation Warfare, lays it all out. We're exactly in there. We're in this war of stories, this war of narratives, this war of what we believe. It's the battle is, we're not shooting bullets yet. They're battling for the hearts and minds of the people. There it is, right there. Perfect timing. That is an awesome book. I highly recommend you get it and read it and reread it. It's a manual for the current situation that we're in and things that you can do to help protect your mind from the BS and that's going on. So yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, because I want you to talk about your book, but how did you tell us a little bit about when you were on the truth tours and everything? Like, I'd love to just get some insight into that, because like a little bit about my background. So I've always had a problem buying into kind of the mainstream narratives like my whole life. I was a questioner, but like you, I was affected by 9/11, bought into it because of the death, especially being right here in New York, like 100
Right.
people not coming home that night. It was traumatizing, to say the least. But then within the year, I started to back off and say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. I mean, I remember Trump being down there the first day with, I guess it was Giuliani, whoever, or maybe the next day, saying there's no way that planes could destroy beams like that, so like that got me thinking. But the point is that I was always very much, especially the election really got me going, really. But I was at the time like a sole parent, single mom, not going to lie, because I had read so much about the truth stuff and what was out there. I was afraid. I was like, I'm not ready to put my face out there. I got these 2 kids, they're little, I'm coming home alone. And so the timing didn't feel right. However, the people that came on the scene right away, like you and the truth tours that started and everything. After that, you guys put your faces out there, and you were very brave to do that at that time, just following your passion. So how did that happen? If you could just tell us, like, that whole tour, and because I'm sure it was very exciting and frightening and all these passionate and all these kinds of things at once.
Well, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life, especially Truth Tour 2. But how I got connected with them is a good friend of mine. Actually, we lived not far from each other here in Pinellas County, Florida. And we met at a Kirsten W. event down in Sarasota. It was my friend Gina. So we found out that we're running the same things. We, teamed up, went to school boards, fighting the COVID stuff, all that thing. So anyway, she was connected with Lewis Herms. He's doing the Truth Tour 1. They were doing a stop in Tampa, or actually a little south of Tampa. They wanted me to come speak at. So she invited me. I was like, I would love to, but I'm going to be out of town that particular weekend. So can't do it. Then it's a week or two went by, and she said, "Hey, we got a spot, some opening in Fort Wayne, Indiana. If you want to speak, if you want to come, you can speak." I was like, phew. I talked to the wife for a little bit, and we said, "Yep, let's do it." So we jumped in the car, drove 12, 14 hours from Tampa up to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Spoke there, met Lewis for the first time. They wanted us to continue to go with them on their tour. And what we couldn't do, it had, life stuff, and the wife had a oral surgery schedule, so we couldn't do it. But we ended up flying out to Vegas for the Truth Tour 1 grand finale, participated in that. It was amazing. Ever since that finale, I've been on every single Truth Tour event that there's been. But it was amazing. Truth Tour 2, where we got to travel around. There was 20 plus of us. Numbers would go up and down. But people like Mark Atwood, Derek Johnson, Baby Trump, Jason Q. I mean, all these huge names traveling with us in an RV or multiple vehicles. Tarot by Janine. So we got to meet and hang out with these people. And what you learn really quickly is when you on the webcam stuff, you can put a mask on, right? You can be somebody that you're not. Right, you can put on a persona, put forth an image, but when you're traveling, 24/7 with people for like 6 weeks, it's hard to keep those masks up. So you really learn about who these people are, and these people are just the greatest salt of the earth. My best memories is traveling. We had our vehicle, and I had the trailer that was towing a bunch of equipment in. But we were 3 days. It was myself, my wife, Mark Atwood, and Tarot by Janine in the backseat of my car. And it was the best time ever. So, I mean, and meeting the people, that connection I talked about, that third connection, that was huge, because it would just come out of COVID-ish type stuff. And people were still feeling like they were on an island. They were all alone. So people were craving, that connection and that, sense of belonging. And we were able to provide that with the Truth Tour, going there, showing up in person, shaking hands, hugging necks, crying and laughing together. So it was a beautiful experience, and I wouldn't change it, wouldn't do anything different, going forward.
That's great. That's great. So, Stu, you have anything else? Because I'm dying to hear about the 7, your book, The 7 Mindset. What is it? The Mindset. I've already read it.
Just one thing that you mentioned early on about your son being on duty and stuff, and with the thing with Saddam Hussein in that foxhole, and the whole thing was a production, basically. It just makes you think, and we all know, don't we, what we're looking into? How much since, and if not before, has just been a production?
Wag the dog.
Exactly.
There came a point where I came to a realization, America, is the idea of America is the greatest idea that's ever been, and the whole self-governance and all that. But almost from Jump Street, when this country was created, it was obfuscated, and it was, began to be bastardized. And, the America being the shining light on the hill, the things that America has been involved in and done to other countries, and even here in America. I mean, what what the Native American Indians, what the United States and the United States government and the military done to the Native American Indians is criminal. You know, we want to talk about crimes against humanity. That is, it's horrible. You know, the things that we have done in the idea of progress and different things. So I have, you know, I'm not blind, you know, to the fact of the evil that our country is and the people that are pulling the levers. It's not to say everybody in the military or not everybody, you know, who is a doctor or not everybody who is a teacher has nefarious intent at heart. But the people giving the orders, those are the ones that are causing the problems. I think it was, it was Jacob. It was Jacob said, you know, one of his greatest revelations. I think he's going out there saving the world. And it was pretty sobering when he realized that we're not the good guys most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so that we have to, you know, take all this into account. And, you know, that's why I'm super, super focused on being the best person that I can be, regardless of where I live, or where I'm at, or what I'm doing. That is you know, the truth, authenticity, and who knows if any of these past truths or past lies or past history is going to be resolved. I don't know, but it's we need to. You can't have evil on one side and good on the other and expect that we're going to be able to have everything in between. There's something off, and we need to realize that going forward if we're going to you know, save humanity.
Yeah, I think a lot of the military woke up when they were all protecting the poppy fields in Afghanistan, weren't they? Because we were all seeing that in the news, and you could see a lot of it. Why are we doing this? You know, we should burn it to the ground.
That's it.
Yeah. No? It is that, and that's what people have to keep remembering. This is truly a war of good and evil, and we have to eradicate the evil. And those of us who understand that and get that, that's why it's incumbent on us, everybody, to keep raising the vibration, because the more we're in that vibration of love, it can't exist. You know, I mean, obviously there's kinetic stuff that has to be done too, but I mean, you all this stuff, disease, everything, it can't exist when you're in that high vibration. And it's, people don't understand the control they have over their own frequency, right? And part of that starts with mindset.
100%. And that's been the focus. That's why I kind of shifted. You mentioned the book, and that just kind of came to me. Hey, you know, what can I do? How can I distill a lot of this information that's just starting? It was coming to me just like light bulbs all of a sudden. Oh, that's why this has happened, you know, 20 years ago. Oh, that's why this, and everything started to come together. So, and putting together this little ebook, it's not real big. It's only like 27, 28 pages, but I put together these, you know, 7 main ones. I mean, there's tons of them, but 7 main ones that if you just focus on that one mindset shift per day, that at the end of a week, month, you know, year, 5 year, 10 years down the road, you're going to be exponentially better off. I mean, just having an awareness of the way that we think. You know, a lot of times when we get caught up, I mean, the thoughts that come through our heads, you know, sometimes they're pretty dark, right? You know, and sometimes they don't mean anything. And so all those thoughts really are kind of neutral. I think of it as like clouds. Right? When you remember as a kid, you go laying outside, look at the clouds, and you see what you can find in the clouds, you know, looking, oh, that looks like an elephant, or that looks like this. When we focus on, you know, we can make and the thoughts are the same thing in our head. So the thought that comes through, if you can stop, oh, that looks like this, you know, that looks like, I can't lose weight because I just can't stop eating sugar. And that's, you're focusing on that cloud. You can make it look like anything you want. Right. But if you can change, just being aware that, hey, no, I don't have to buy into that. So you can't stop the clouds from coming, whether they're chemtrails or regular clouds, I don't know, but you can't stop them from coming. But what you can do is stop your focusing and putting so much meaning onto something that doesn't really mean anything. So the 7 mindset shifts is a little ebook, and that was just part of this God fleshing this thing out. This all started really snowballing for me when I was crying out and how can we get through this? book came as a result of that. The shift, the rebranding to get into the mindset, personal development stuff happened then. So it's been a year pulling all this stuff together. And then just recently, it even pulled out what we got to do is, and God doesn't make mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
So we're not a mistake. You're here for a purpose and a reason. So there's everything that God is, was, and will be is already inside you, right? We have everything already inside of us. This can be borne out. If you look into the Hermetic principles, the laws of the universe, biblical principles, it's the same thing across everything. Everything that God is already in us. So that God is excellence, right? Excellence personified. So all we need to do is unleash the excellence that's already inside of us. And that excellence isn't gone. It's not that you've lost it. It's not that you never had it. Is that the problem is it's buried under the masks that we wear, the lies and the wrong kind of thinking. And then, take that the next step further is the actions, right? The actions that we're taking are all these things that are keeping that excellence beat down or, buried inside of us. So we need to unleash the excellence. Beating up my microphone. I'm so excited. But unleash the excellence that's already inside of us. So that comes through, 3 different pillars of unleashing excellence. First one is the pillar of the burning the masks, right? We have masks, and masks can be useful. We all wear masks for different things. The main reason for the masks is to help protect us and keep us safe. But the masks in themselves aren't the problem. The problem is when those masks become a crutch, when those masks become an excuse or a reason for not being able to do something, or for not trying to be different, or not trying to improve. Those masks, that's when they become a problem. And getting rid of the masks, the first step is becoming aware of it, right? This becoming aware of the masks. The second pillar of the unleashing excellence path is the unlearn to unleash. We have to unlearn. Like I've said multiple times already here today, we cannot go forward. We cannot turn the ship around. We cannot expect to move into the 5D with the same type of thinking that got us into this mess in the first place. So we need a complete reprogram, unlearn to unleash. And that's where all the mindset stuff comes in, and being aware of the different things. One of the other mindsets in the book is from a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset. We can create our own reality. All these different principles and things that I'm putting together isn't some brand new stuff. Is this I'm repackaging it. And that was one of the reasons that Scott McKay told me to start my own channel way back, was that, Bruce, there's people, we can say the same exact thing, right? I can say the same exact thing as Stu or Elise or Scott or anybody, but somebody might hear it a little differently. They might be in a different, resonate with it. My personality, my delivery, whatever, might hear it a little better from me than somebody else. So that's why when Elise says she's, listens to all these different podcasters, that's a good thing to do. Take the meat and leave the bones, because you can learn things from having somebody from a different perspective.
Yeah.
So that unlearn to unleash, that is a huge thing. And so burn the masks, becoming aware of the identities that may be holding us back, and then unlearn to unleash, getting rid of and exposing and changing the limiting beliefs that have been, because a lot of those beliefs didn't even come from us. They came from our parents, our society, all kinds of stuff. So we don't even know what we believe. That's why it's important, that connection number 2, to get in touch with yourself, so you can strip away all of that BS and find out who your true nature is. And then the third one, this is where people miss it. The third pillar of unleashing excellence is we can, be aware of the masks. We can want to change our mindset, but unless you step into the forge, and the forge is where the action happens, where you take this information and you begin to put it into use. If you think of a forge, the fire, the big anvil, a blacksmith, right? They take that metal, heat it up, and they just beat the shit out of it and to transform it into something else. That's what the actions, taking the information that we have about the masks and what our identity is, and the beliefs that we want to have and portray in our life. We got to put that stuff into action. You want to lose weight? How about shutting your pie hole and getting on a treadmill? That's the forge step of the pillar, right? So you got to put some action. And hey, you can stand in, the positive thinking and affirmations. You can stand in front of your mirror all day long and say, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. When the RV happens, I'm going to be able to do this. And when blah, 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 with the med bed, you can do all these affirmations. But unless you're willing to, at some point, put some action behind those words, nothing's going to happen. Nothing.
Yeah.
So that's the formula for creation. Anything that we see in our world started off as an idea, a thought, and then that created some emotion, created some actions, and those actions is what gave us the results. So if we don't like the results that we're getting, maybe we look at some different actions or some different thinking. So this is the formula for creation. If you don't like, it's a plug and play. It's like it's math, right? It's like an equation. If you do X, you're gonna get X. Or if you think this and you do this action, then it's law of cause and effect. Again, all these principles are not anything new. It's just repackaged in a different way with my personality and my experiences, my life story that I've lived. This isn't just stuff I've read in a book and I'm parroting it out. This is my entire life, ups and downs, good and bad, of everything, bringing it forward to we can walk through this stuff together and unleash that excellence that's in us. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version of what my Unleashing Excellence system that I'm continuing to build out. I mean, it's on my website that I have, brucepoppy.com, is probably 60% there. I'm still building that out because I'm just a one-man show. I don't have a whole pile of money. I don't have a whole team behind me putting all these productions together. If I don't do it, it don't get done.
Yeah.
So that's where we're all in this, trying to figure this thing out. And I applaud you guys for what you're doing with the Patriots Across the Pond idea and bringing all this stuff together. I have a question for Stu. How is it you're able to do live streams and talk about the stuff and not be in jail over there in the UK? I mean, good grief, they got people in prison nowadays for posts on X or Facebook memes. So what is going on over there in the UK?
Well, I'm quite surprised I haven't had a knock at the door, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, I've lost so many accounts to date. But I am, there's people putting a lot of online hatred online. And I never do that. I never put anything with vitriol. I might take the piss out of a few people here, there, and everywhere, but I do try and put the information out without. I want people to rise up, and I tell them every day until you get involved, this won't happen. Every one of you on a personal level, and it doesn't matter if you've got a tiny voice or a big voice like that. Use it and share stuff. And a lot of people that have in this truth movement, I watch your stuff. But I said to him, well, why don't you share it then? Get this information out there. Or I don't want to put it on my Facebook because I'll just use that for business, or, my certain job, I can't comment on your post and things like that. Everyone's still got this little level of fear in them. And yeah, I think we've had 12,000 people over here have been arrested or caution, whatever, for posting online. And that is 3 times as much as Russia, I believe. And but the worse it gets, the better I feel, right? Because of this, you cannot tell people the truth. You must show them. And the truth is learned, never told, right? I don't think this Keir Starmer government is in control of everything. Whether there's enough swamp behind them to make them bin push what they do, or this military alliance is forcing them down a certain direction, is to make people rise up. Because the Labour voters voted Labour in over here, and they wanted them to, we're going to save the NHS now and all these sorts of things and brilliant stuff with Keir Starmer. But no, he joined a coalition, firing missiles into Ukraine. He attacked the children, he attacked the pensioners, he sent Labour councillors over to the USA to canvass for the Democrats, all this sorts of stuff. And the Labour voters, they've gone silent, right? But they must be sitting at home now in their silence going, maybe these crazy tinfoil hatters were right about a few things. And, even with the immigrants coming over and stuff as well, I believe there's a lot more to it than that. And we talk about military men and which side military men. But that is getting people involved. And I said to Elisa yesterday when we were chatting, the fact that I think the white hats, no one give two fucks about politics and all this sort of stuff years ago, until sort of Trump came in and all these things, and this Q operation, and these things were being put out to the public. And we've all been looking at politics now and what these people are doing. And, you know, Democrat, Republican, Labour, Conservative, they're all masked on the same face, and they're all friends behind the scenes. And the people, we the people, have the power, right? But the people need to take it back. So the more people are pushed, the more I sit there and go, well, look, what have I been telling you? What's Elisa been telling you? What's Bruce been telling you? And all these other crazies. But I will just say one thing there, that the fact that a lot of the people that have been awake the longest are the ones that black pill and flip it on their head. Do you know what I mean? Oh my God, because they only pay a little bit of attention. And just one more thing to what you were saying there as well. We all hear the phrase problem, reaction, solution on a bad level, i.e. this is what they do to us to get the end goal. But if you're using that on your personal level, that's what you're saying, you know, with your unleashing business, is the fact that if you've got a problem and you react to it and you solve it, that is it.
Right. I mean, and I came to my thought as I was driving the other day, you know, that these people that identify as, you know, cats or, you know, identify as a whatever, you know, they chicken change. There is some truth in that. That the truth is you can, in your mind, you can change your identity with the way that you think. You know, there is truth in that, and it's been, you know, bastardized and all you know, twisted up. But that truth of being, you know, what your identity, and you can change your identity to be anything you want. That's you know, the American, anybody can be president, they say. You know, so you can do and accomplish way more than what you already are. And the, you know, question comes is, what are you willing to do about it? Are you willing to just survive? Mm-hmm. And you know, just, you know, go to do the same thing you've done for the last 40, 50, whoever knows how long, right? Go to work. You know, that's the system that they've told us, right? You go to a good school, get a good education, right? You're going to get a good job. You get married. You have 2.3 kids. You have 1.7 dogs. You know, you work real hard until you're 60, 65, and you retire, and everything's going to be puppy dogs and rainbows. That's bullshit and a lie. That doesn't happen. You know, most 97, 98 people out of 100 are going to die dead or dead broke, right? And you have to be able to adapt to things going on around you. Like this whole new AI thing, there's people that are scared to shit out of it, thinking the next thing that Elon Musk is going to show up at their door and tie them down and put a Neuralink in their head. You know, that's unrealistic thing. We have to have a respect, and it's just a tool. You know, everything that we have is most everything is neutral. And where it has the power over us is the meaning that we give to it, right? Most things are just, they don't mean anything, but we just dwell on the negative stuff. And I wish I could go on for days and days and days, but I know, you know, so that's where we're at. You know, we need to be the best that we can be. If you want to red pill more people, live your best life right now when everything's seemingly crashing and burning all around you, and you got a happy-go-lucky and everything's fantastic all the time. People are going to want to know what's going on, and that opens a door for you to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's how I try to live my life every day. And we have this, the biggest thing at the moment, obviously, along with the immigrants and stuff like that, is this push for digital ID in this country, and that is really riling people up. Because when people buckled to COVID, I said you'll probably get another chance to stand up if you didn't before. And I think this digital ID might be part of that. I mean, we've also got certain parts in this country that, and it's not Muslims that the problem is Islam ideology and you know, a lot of these things being pushed. But if you're in a country, you should. I wouldn't go to another country and tell them they're all doing it wrong. I would try and respect their cultures and laws. You know, but there's a lot of people here, like there are in the States, and we're seeing it in Christmas markets all around the place, aren't they? There's a lot of Palestinian flags and stuff being waved about, cutting heads off effigy babies and taunting people and all these sorts of things. It's all waking people up, and it's all the means to an end. And just quickly, we spoke, all these people that say, I just wanted to hurry up and I just want to see some arrests and stuff like that. I mean, I've been doing this nearly 25 years. You've been doing it almost as long, Bruce. Elisa's, been doing it a long time as well. We have Phil Tawney on the other day from the USS Liberty, and he's been trying to get this truth out for 57 years, 59 years, and the people that have got to understand that this has been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and we're close to the precipice, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think it's a God movement. It's a create. That's why they say nothing can stop what is coming. This is going to happen one way or another. It doesn't matter. God has a plan, and that plan is going to move forward one way or another. There reminds me quickly that Kerry Cassidy did the interview with that guy that was looking into the looking glass stuff, and they were game planning out, towards the end, around COVID time. They were, whatever they put in there, the result was the same, right? Yeah. No matter what they put in that machine, the result was still the same. So that just tells you we're going down a funnel, and only God can orchestrate stuff like that.
Yeah. Bigger than any of us. It just is. However, it is also incumbent on us to get on that wave, to realize that this is the plan that God has, and we have a responsibility to ourselves and our kids. That's right. That's right. So just a few things. I just made a few notes. So Stu and I actually met during the making of Dear Mr. President. We met personally on one of the after parties that we had. And we were both, I think it was almost like telepathically, they were talking about certain things. And he and I had the eyes at each other because we were on the same wavelength of what we were thinking, which was sort of not what the rest of the crowd was thinking. And then we kind of got together and said, he's in the UK. You guys just talked about the craziness that's going on over there. And I'm in New York, which is really, if you look at the whole country, it's the worst, right? It's under the biggest spell and brainwashing, I believe, than any other place in the country. And so we just felt that it's almost like this isn't just about America. The whole MAGA is bigger than that. It's about making everything great again, about waking up. And, UK, US, there's so much that people in both of our countries, and of course around the world in different countries, just to kind of come together and analyze things, look at things, disclose things, do some deep dives and some decodes on stuff. And that's kind of how we came together. And the idea of having people like you on is really to put in context everything that's going on, but look at all the different pillars that it takes into account, whether it's personal responsibility and mindset, whether it's, and changing belief systems, whether it's taking a look at what's really going on and how you can be a part of that. And then it's also about taking a look at the clues that we've been given, whether it's through Q, whether it's through the decoded messages that Trump is always talking about and the rest of the team. So, our goal really is to be able to talk about all this stuff, have that kind of across the pond perspective, and then have other people that bring their own experience. And I think when it comes to living in New York, one of the things that I've found so hard, I was, one of those tinfoil hat. I actually have a relative who in rages would be screaming at me to get out my tinfoil hat. And I remember I used to say to her, I'd say, well, I would rather be wearing my tinfoil hat than be wearing a mask over my eyes. And that's what you're doing. And then, it would piss her off even more. But sure. The point is that I just remember, and Stu does too, walking into these places, whether it was the mask, whether it was just being bombarded with people vilifying you for not being vaccinated, not being able to go to concerts and restaurants. And I was like, I'm perfectly fine with that. I have enough to do at home. I'm learning from all these people. I'm, exploring how, my voice when it's time to get out there with it. And I just think that now where we are is we just need to really ignite more people, because everybody's got a voice and everybody's got something. Like you said before, you it's about unleashing what's there. But you're basically a mentor, a coach. I'm a coach too. We're not really putting anything there or teaching anyone anything. We're giving them tools so that what's already there that's just dormant, that they can't touch, we're facilitating, right? And I think that's what podcasters do. We're just facilitating people to use their God-given abilities, talents, thoughts, to put that to use now, to move them closer to living the reality that they want to live, and taking a stand about how that's going to happen. And together, right, that's what the movement's all about. And those people that are like, I want to see perp walks, and why do you want to see a perp walk? Aren't you more happy that maybe these people are getting the behind the scenes, and that we are now saving kids, and all these things are going on behind the scenes? Why do you need a perp walk? Just be happy that things are starting to shift and more people are waking up. I don't get that mentality, with all due respect. Like, that's a very normie thing to say if you're trying to be one of the ones that are awakening people out of that slumber. So we hope with our show, what we're doing is we're trying to have, expand and kind of bridge those gaps between the two countries and elsewhere, because we're all patriots and we're all trying to get out of this system that we've been in for thousands of years.
Right. And there's more similarities between the U.S. and UK than there is differences. And that's one of the key enemies or key plays in the enemy's playbook, is to magnify, even Q talks about, to magnify the smallest voices to make it seem like it's, everyday occurrence. And, Stu mentioned it's not the Muslims, it's not the Jews, it's not the trans, they're just taking all of this stuff, anything they can do to keep our minds occupied and keep us from focusing on what our true God-given purpose and passions should be, so that we continue fighting and bickering amongst ourselves, and we don't get anything, so that we can't unite and take them down, right? Because if we know once all of us stand up, we're the game they're playing, yes, with the boards on our back. I'm sure you've seen the meme. Yes. All you got to do is stand up and the game is over.
That's it.
And so that's what we're needing people to do, is to stand up. You don't have to be you don't have to start a podcast. You don't have to be some, crazy militant, person. All you got to do is stand your ground and not give in, not give any quarter, not give any mental, physical, or emotional, spiritual energy to all this stuff that they're trying to do. I've gotten over that a while back. I don't care about the politics of what ends up happening. All I want to see is, going forward, I want to have a better society, better, planet, whether it's flat, round, or what, for my kids and grandkids, right? All those things, whether it's flat or round, all these different things, these binary, this is a part of the evil Masonic system that they have set in place. It has to be a black or a white. You have to be left or right, conservative, liberal, right? Rich and poor. They want to
man or woman. They put us against each other all the time instead of celebrating the differences, right?
Classic divide and conquer. It does every situation. It's the same thing.
Same.
So as long as you don't give them any power, that's the only power they have. It's just like it says in the Declaration of Independence, right? The government derives their just power from the consent of the governed. So if you're not digging what they're putting out, then you're giving consent, right? You're giving consent some form or fashion. So we got to stop giving consent, stand in our own truth, and be willing to take whatever those consequences are. If you're going to lose your job from not getting a shot, hey, more power to you. If you're going to, there was this guy we met at this event. We were in California. He got his kids taken away, his wife divorced. He got his parental rights revoked because he would not buy into the fact that their 8-year-old son wanted to be a girl, right? And the wife was pushing, and doing the hormone things, and he was standing up, and he got his parental rights revoked because he was standing up and saying, "F no, you're a boy, you're not a girl." So I mean, there people standing up and being willing to take whatever pain comes your way for standing the truth is going to be maximized, multiplied exponentially the blessings that are come on the other side. We have to start somewhere. There has to be some pain.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Until the pain of where you're at right now is greater than the pain of change, then you're not going to change. Right. There's going to be pain one way or another. And so we're hoping the things that I'm saying and the stuff that I'm wanting, that I'm putting out there and putting my life out there, I'm hoping that you're going to experience as little pain as possible. We got to set ourselves up because there's going to be pain. I tell people, buy some silver and gold. It's up over $60. I don't know if it's still there now, but people, I missed the boat. I should have got, that, or XRP. It's like,
right. You missed the boat and it's still in $2 because you didn't get it at 0.000. I know. It's so silly.
I bought most of my XRP when it was in 20-cent range, and now I'm waiting for it to dip down below 2 again. I'm going to load up my bag some more.
Right.
So there's always ways.
Yeah.
But if you got to be willing to get into the forge and do the work and be willing to be hammered by that blacksmith that we call God into what he wants us to be.
Yeah. I had an extended family member tell me they felt sorry for me when I told them over the last 5 years I've done, up to 30,000 hours research, and why don't you look at some of it and listen to it? And their answer was, well, I feel sorry for you that you've done all that, but all I want to do is make sure my kids and grandkids are okay, which is a very admirable thing to say, but not if you completely toe the government line, because what you're doing then is the exact fucking opposite. You are leading them into a communist hellhole, right?
Yeah.
By doing that.
I work with one of my areas of expertise in coaching is with people that are going through divorce or going through a life transition. And one of the first things I say, if you think about it, we're going through a big divorce. That's really what it is. We're separating out from the old system into a new system. And the new system is one of independence and empowerment and autonomy, right? And one of the things I always say to a lot of them are women, but you have men clients too, is the only power. It's easy to say when all these things are happening, right? Like maybe you don't control the money. Maybe you have to change your house. Maybe you're not seeing your kids every night. Like these are big things. But the only power that person really has over you is in your own mind. And if you can master that, even though you're going to go through so much shit, you're going to have to go to court, you're going to have to deal with lawyers, you're going to have to spend money, you're going to probably have if it's contentious, you're going to have the other person torturing you just for the sake of torturing you, doing these mean, horrible, useless things. But if you have control of your own mind, and it's the same thing like you guys are both saying and Stu's saying, if you know that you should not wear a mask because common sense tells you that it's clogging up your ability to breathe, and there's no sense in it protecting you if you really look at the science, then you're content about that. And people are going to be screaming and yelling and closing doors. And okay, same thing with the jab. And now we're kind of like past that a little bit, but now we're into these other things. Like there's always going to be something until the deep state or these nefarious people are pretty much gone, at least minimize where they don't have the power that they once had. That is going to come up. So you're going to be one of these idiots that we've all seen the videos of the person going into the Amazon store waving their wrist, like, oh, it's so easy. It's so convenient. Look, I just have to wave my wrist. I just paid for everything. Like, what is, those are the things that they're going to keep testing us. And I believe we've talked about this a lot here in New York. I don't know how it is in Florida. Here in New York, it's still on there. Not as much as it was, say, 6 months ago, but there's still commercials, whether it be, on YouTube or buses or whatever. You go into a store to get your COVID and your flu vaccine and all that, right? I really believe they have to do that in these extra sleepy areas because I think it's a litmus test. Like, okay, last year, excuse me, this time, X number of people came in. This year, like they're not going to go door to door and say, let me ask you, are you still buying into this? No. So they have to have a system. And I would venture to say that today we're probably at the lowest we've been, but they're still knuckleheads. I mean, I was telling Stu, God bless them. I love his family, but he and I were going to have nervous breakdowns because they're like, oh, we got to go back. We got to get our boosters, and we got to. And now I laugh. It used to really upset me, but now I'm like, all right, it's probably all saline anyway. These idiots are going and they're getting punctured and all this stupidity, but they think it's helping, and I'm just like, I wonder why you need a booster. Like, if it works. Why do you need 4,000 boosters? But there are going to be these knuckleheads that just, and now we just, I think most of us laugh because we kind of know that the powers that be are the good ones, and it's they're just lagging behind, but we can laugh. But think about a few years ago. I mean, this was really upsetting, and we just were trying our best. Like, I remember staying at my mom's house because I was having some construction done, and I was staying at her house, which in and of itself, I wanted to kill myself, but then I had to go food shopping, and I had to like clean off the pasta box. And I was like, Mom, why? She's like, no. I don't want you to bring anything in the house. Clean it outside. And I was like, I'm going to definitely kill myself or kill her. I don't know which one's going to be easier.
Yeah, they're trying it again. There's all kinds of lockdowns and craziness happening over in Spain. The swine flu is going crazy over in Spain. So they're going to continue pushing.
Yeah.
Well, I do disagree with Elisa, not entirely, obviously, but I would love to see a perp walk, but not for me. I want to see Obama getting carted off for the normies, because that is going to be a red pill. And I've said to people 4 or 5 years, you cannot red pill these people anymore. They have to red pill themselves. The truth is very never told, but never underestimate the power of planting seeds every single day, because that does 2 things. Number one, when they see something that sort of relates to what you said, they might look into it a bit more. And number 2, they'll know who to come to when the shit hits the fan.
Right.
Well, I meant, and you're right, that is necessary for them. But I'm saying, as our community, I'm okay. I feel like I know what's going on from all the research, all the information, Q, etc. I don't need to see. For me, I don't need to see that.
Versus some people, it's a form of validation, right? That they need that external circumstance to happen for them to feel of worth. That, oh yeah, everything I did believe over the last is true, and I'm not just some wingnut, right? So that's part of the thing. People that are not secure in their own thing need that external, and that's a huge thing, that we need these external circumstances to validate our internal feelings. And that if you can flip that around, where it doesn't matter what's happening around you, I'm in control of my own mind and my own destiny and my own path. It doesn't matter what's going on around. That is truly empowering, and the weight and the less stress and the freedom that comes from just making that little shift of your mind, that I don't need external circumstances for my internal validation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I continue to do what I do every day, because I'm passionate about this movement. I thoroughly enjoy it, watching everything that's going on. And apart from a few close friends that have been on in a few of my early Zoom calls and stuff like that, and one has just passed away, God bless her soul. I've got to talk about that tomorrow a little bit. I've been banging on to myself, apart from a few viewers, for 3, 4, 5 years. So until Elisa came on the scene and all that, and shares the same exact passion that I have, and knowledge of what's going on, it's really good, and it's reinvigorated my passion a little bit more.
Sure. No, we all need those. That's why the third part of that connection is so important. Like I talked about, getting connected to other people, because we have that. There is some. It's not that we need that external, but there is some comfort in knowing that, hey, I'm not the only one out here. I'm not on an island. I'm not, by myself. There are other people. We might not be physically attached or right next to each other, but yeah, all around the globe, there are, tens of thousands, millions of people that believe and think and are wanting the same type of outcome that we all want. And we just could continue hammering away. Got to stack those daily wins, right? Doing one little thing. If I can be just a tiny percent, a minuscule portion, if I can be just a little bit better tomorrow than I am today, winning. if I can, and that's going to exponentially go, that tiny fraction of percent, build up over a week, month, year, 5, 10 years down the road. You're going to be way further along down the path in your journey to unleashing excellence than you are if you had just sat around, I'm waiting for the med bed in the RV and we're going to be good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. I just lost my train of thought. I was going to say something that, there was, I don't know, Stu, you're like a master at saving all those different videos and films. There was one done by a woman. I'm going to guess she was probably like in her 30s or so. And this is the woman I feel like every day. She says how she can't do anything anymore because everything goes against, but she does it in a very humorous way. So it's like, if she goes food shopping, she can't look at the food anymore because she knows what's in it. Like she can't enjoy like buying something because she knows what's in it and she has to figure out what's not. Then it's like she hears someone talking, she overhears someone talking and she wants to tell them like, no, that's not true. Why are you doing that? And I feel like that every day. It doesn't matter where I go, who I'm with. Like I was sitting in a coffee shop the other day and this woman was talking about something, some illness or something. And I was like, Elisa, just let these two women have their lunch. Like, just shut up. And I was just like, excuse me. I just had to put, now she was really grateful because I did it in a very sweet way and with a lot of questions. Like I went into coach mode, and she was so receptive and she wrote things down, but then I was in the supermarket the other day and this older, not that old, she was probably like 70, the late 60s. And she's standing there and she's telling me how she can't order this because she has a salt problem and she can't. So I said to her, can I just ask you, like, when you go to the hospital, like, what's the first thing they give you? I was like, don't they give you a saline drip? I was like, so it's kind of like not really the salt. And I don't ask me why I was doing this because I had like the number at the deli line. So I had to wait for them to call my number. It was like skid marks on her head. She just was like, yeah, so I have to be really careful with my salt. I was like, okay, I can't, whatever. I tried. But this is how I feel every day, no matter what circumstance I go into. I'm ready to forge the charge and start like telling everyone and I have to just zip my mouth about everything. Like I was with someone the other day and she's like, oh my God, do you know when I was younger, I dated a guy who actually had a gun? And I was like, really? I was like, well, I have one. And she's like, oh. And I said, yeah. And I just I couldn't help it. I was like, I wanted to piss her off. But I'm thinking like, I also have a hammer. I also have knives. Any of those, I can go do something bad if I wanted to. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I can't get around the mindset. Let me just put this comment in there, right? And I'll tell you something. James Bones, my in-laws just had their 11th shot. Now, I understand that. I'll tell you a quick story. I've said it before about my dad, bless him. He went in the hospital about 4 or 5 months ago. He was in there for months, sepsis and cellulitis, but he was in the corridor for the first night. And when I got in to see him, I said to him, listen to me, while you're in here, if they offer you any COVID shots or flu shots, you politely decline. Okay? And he looked me in the eye and he went, all right. And he had a month in hospital. He reassessed a lot of things. He quite enjoyed it in there, actually. He was getting his 3 meals a day up and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I was up his house about a month ago. We were talking about stuff. And I said, well, because I said to him, I thought you listened to me. He said, I do listen to you. I said, well, there's 9 times you haven't, isn't it? Anyway, a month ago, I was at his house having a chat and all that. And I said to him, because you've already had 9, haven't you? And he looked me straight in the eye and went 10 now. And my jaw fell, because it's still not coming from their TV.
Right. Right.
And I'm laughing, but not, it's just after a while, you just, I think we all feel pretty secure that nobody's getting anything anymore. I mean, they're not gonna let people get harmed, but.
So I was going to have another 10 then.
Right. And do they even know why they're having them? Like in the beginning, I get it. You were afraid, you were worried. We didn't know, blah, blah, blah.
Right. It's the Milgram experiment and the man standing there in a white coat with pens in his pocket, looking authoritative. That is why, and they've given their power away. Most people don't want to deal with things themselves. They want other people to deal with it for them. So if a doctor's dealing with it and telling them this will sort you out, and most doctors don't know what they're doing anyway. They're all snake oil salesmen, and it's not their fault because they have been taught that way by the Rockefellers and all this stuff handed down.
You're right. They don't want to take. It's exactly what you're saying.
I lost my train of thought there. I'll try and think what I was going to say.
You were saying that people don't want to make their own decisions and they want to give it away, and they let a doctor or a person in a white coat and they hand over their power.
Yeah, exactly right. And it always happens in history. You know, in fact, even if a tribe moves, or, you know, a lot of people going, right, let's all move off the grid, right? And we'll go and live in the country, right? 10, 20, 30 people. It wouldn't be too long before you'd have a little bit of bickering and stuff like that, and they want to elect a leader. You know, this has happened in tribes and everything throughout history because people want to give their power away.
Right. The Israelites, right, when Moses took them out of Egypt, as soon as they started roaming around the desert, well, we need a king. We want to go. We don't like this. We liked it when we were given food and we were told what to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hopefully we're moving out of that, and we will get to a point where people can just self-govern and be very comfortable and happy and content in following their own intuition, because all you have to do is do right by other people, not harm them, not steal, not right. And that's all you have to do.
Right. And the thing we're trying to figure this out right now. I believe that's a huge where there may be some lack of direction or, you know, in our movement, is we've up until this point, more in recent history, we have outsourced our own self-governance to these people who we thought were going to have our best interest at heart. And we know that's just not the case. So, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, from the founding of our country, almost from Jump Street, you know, the true intent of what we were supposed to be has been blinded, has been, you know, taken away and covered up. So we have outsourced our own self-governance. We don't even know what it means to self-govern anymore. So we have to unlearn to unleash that second mindset thing. We have to unlearn to unleash the excellence that's already inside of us.
Yeah. And if you unlearn everything and start from scratch, you're probably better off where you are right now. Yep. And I just remember what I was going to say about the doctors and stuff and the Rockefellers is the fact that the doctor most of the time will give you a box of pills and say, try them for a couple of weeks. If they don't work, come back and I'll give you something else.
Yeah.
Right? It's because that's what they've been told to give to you if you're sweating here and you've got, you know, sort of a swollen tongue or something.
Yeah. It's so true. So just another quick story. I told Stu this. I went to have coffee with one of my cousins, and everything he said, because he's very in the Matrix, I had to make a comment about. So first he says, you know, unless you're like a really good person like Mother Teresa. I was like, we may want to revisit that idea. Then he moved on and he said something else. And he's like, can I ask you a question? I was like, he was like, is there anyone that isn't a pedophile? And I said, I'll be very happy to, you know, to know if there is. I said, you know, all seriousness, anybody in power, anybody who's running things, anybody that's, you know, typically been revered by, you know, the mainstream, probably not. So just, that's what I would say. But no, it's like everything is like inverted, you know, like everything people say and the people they look to as, you know, they've just been brainwashed. I mean, we've all been brainwashed, right? We had to unlearn a lot of that ourselves, but you can't even have, I can't even have conversations, because halfway through the conversation, they're going to say something that through research, information, our understanding is not true. So you can't even have a conversation because you're always cutting the person off.
Right. And then because we're in those situations, we can't be our authentic self because it wouldn't be prudent, you know, culturally or whatever. That's when we put the masks on. And so we got to hold our tongue to be able to, you know, get along instead of just, you know, throwing Molotov cocktails every time we open our mouth.
Yes. That's why we need each other, you know, because we have to build each other up and be fortified to be able to, you know, to deal with that. This has been so great. So just, go ahead.
I'm just saying, there was a meme out a little while ago. It's something like, the trouble is with hanging around with normal folk is that you have to dumb down 90% of your conversations. And I absolutely disagree with that, because I cannot dumb down my conversation. So a lot of the time I don't hang around with normal folk. But if I do, I cannot. I haven't watched the TV for 4 years. I cut my own hair now because I don't want to sit in the hairdressers listening to the "have you had a nice week" and all these sorts of things. I can't do it, you know. So it is, and I can go off on a tangent like we all can, but I cannot speak anything but my truth, and I will suffer the consequences for that, or the ridicule, or the lack of invites, if you want to say. I don't care.
Sure.
I bet it's a fair thing to say that everybody listening and us, our social circles have just dwindled. Not out of meanness or nasty, you just can't, like, you're going 3D, 5D, 3D, like, you can't, the truth, the non-truth, the bullshit, the stuff I know, and you can't do it. The mind just can't do it, and your vibration is raising, right? I have like
sport anymore. I don't want to go to the movies. You know, I just don't want to do those things. I want to research, go to the gym, get out into nature and eat decent food and hang around with people that want to discuss what's going on.
Exactly.
Very much.
Yeah. I have hardly any, I mean, all my friends are more and more the people in, you know, that we know through our movement and our soul tribe that's come together, the followers, right? You know, we did an event in New York, the first one, the Awakening Summit back in October. It was small, but those people, like, you're like, wow, you know, there's people in this cabal state, you know, like, they're coming out, and we're all part of the same soul tribe. And those are your new connections, like you said, the people that you can grow from, you challenge each other. And I've just found that, like, I love so many people, but I can't, there's nothing to talk about.
It's true.
I'm not going to talk about, oh, you know, it's tax season. Like, I'm just not going to go there.
There's a reason all of us have been dotted all over the world and not put in one place together. It's because our ripples radiate outwards.
Yep.
And it affects, if you put out a love vibration, if you put out a fear vibration, it's going to affect people around you. So you put out the love, you put out the truth, and hope it reverberates around, and they take a bit of it and push it out a little bit further.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the game.
That's it, no?
So your website, again, I want to make sure everybody knows it. They have to go to your site.
Yeah, brucepoppy.com. Super simple, just like it sounds. Yeah, that looks like it. Yep. It's like I said, it's like 60-70% done. The homepage is mostly done. I still have to work on building out the 3 pillars, but you can get my ebook, the 7 Mindset Shifts ebook, for free.
Do you want me to put that on there? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yep, you get that book for free, and so yeah, I'm building out, you know, little by little. It's taking way longer than I would like it to, just like everything else. But yeah, I'm super excited about the direction and the vision that God has put in me for what this thing can do to help people out is amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's great. And I will share with you, when I was reading it, I was doing some of the exercises, and I was particularly, you know, I guess I felt even though I don't consider myself a victim, we all can fall into that, right? It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, so I have, like, I'm putting on my on my refrigerator, but I didn't do it yet, but I wrote it down, you know, like, about taking ownership of certain things. That's one of the first things you talk about. And you know, sometimes as a divorced person who's in it completely alone, taking care of the kids, 2 college tuitions, I'll find myself getting very resentful, you know, but it's like, no, that's a reminder, you know, that's going to just hold me back and put negative stuff. It's going to take energy that I could put towards being that much more independent and, you know, doing it the right way with love and contentment, rather than getting caught up in that. So thank you for that, because
yeah,
it was
and that's what, and you epitomized the entire idea of what I wanted about this is, you know, just a little bit of shift, just becoming aware, just
Yeah.
the awareness that there is a different way to think or a different way to look at something. And unleashing excellence is about perfection. It's more about progress than it's perfection, because nobody's perfect. I screw up every single day, and I'm constantly having to, reinforce, the stuff that I study and learning and trying to teach other people. I have to live it, more in my own life. And I share a lot of that on my channel, the YouTube channel, Bruce Poppy Show. The different things that I'm going through. Yeah. It's not always puppy dogs and rainbows. Sometimes it's crappy. And like our friend Carol says, Carol Marine, very well, you got to find the diamonds in the dog shit, right?
Yeah, I love that expression. So, Bruce, you're going to be in New York in April, right? You're going to be joining for the.
That's the plan. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Yeah.
Yep. So it's the Awakening Summit. Stu and I are the masters of ceremony, and we've got a lot of it. We've got Derek Johnson, and we have Joe and Scott from Truth Stream. I know Louis Herms is going to do his best, depending on his schedule. So we have a lot of unconfirmed yet. It's still early, but a lot that are giving us I'll be there barring any issues. So it's going to be a great event. One of the most important things I believe, and Donna Ferrara, who is putting, whose brainchild it all was, is really to bring to New York the strong men and have panels with men to attract men, because they're so beaten down. I mean, there are so many men in this state, vibrant, manly men. They take care of their families. They work hard, it's just, the environment is just putting such a kibosh on their pride to be able to be that way, toxic masculinity and all this other nonsense. So that's one of the reasons, like one of the really important panels we're going to have are the strong alpha males that are going to be here. And we're hoping it's going to attract a lot of men, because typically a lot of these events you get men, but you get a lot of women. Women are kind of out there, and we want to get the men more involved, especially here in New York. So it's taking place April 25th and 26th. It's going to be in Lynbrook, New York, which is Long Island, and it's going to be great. We'll be putting out more information about it as we go forward. So I'm very happy you're going to be joining us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's been an amazing little chat, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, love it.
I just want to say to everyone, Lisa and I, we've been live on both our Rumble channels today. We have got 5 new Rumble channels. 5 new channels: Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. But our Rumble channel, that is the one. If you can subscribe to that, that would be amazing, because I think starting from not tomorrow, the day after Friday, with Jason Q, we're going to be streaming live just to that Rumble channel and a few others, Twitter and Facebook and stuff. So if people could subscribe to that, that would be absolutely amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for enlightening us on a lot of where you're looking to help people. I think it's wonderful. It all starts with mindset, doesn't it? And hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Yep. Just like Peter said, smash that like button. Yeah, for sure.
Smash that like button. Yeah, I mean, look, I've never been one for going, please subscribe, like, and all that sort of stuff. But the more you can build us and stuff, and I've watched so many hours of other people's shows over this last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and I hardly remember to smash the like button myself when I'm watching other people's shows. So it's, you get involved in the information and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, any help we can get would be absolutely wonderful. Right, I'll put a little 1.5 minute video on the end. So thank you, Bruce. It was so much nice to chat today on the marathon. Yeah. Brilliant. Where we go one, we put all people.
Talk soon.
See ya.
Take care.
This is the difference between the power of our Creator and anything else, particularly evil. That you can go into a pitch black room full of evil, full of darkness, and light a little candle, and instantly that darkness flees. But you can't do the opposite. You can't go into a well-lit room full of truth and wisdom and righteousness and joy and health and harmony with the universal power. And you can't take any amount of darkness and go into that well-lit room and have any effect whatsoever. That is the metaphor which I frequently think of when I think that I'm not empowered. It is the greatest lesson for me, and I think for everybody else, to know that we're on the winning side and that we win in the end.